What's up, everybody? It's the Rice Rocketeer, and today I wanted to circle back and talk about my experience of getting my motorcycle stolen, dealing with insurance, and then the exciting part of buying a new bike. Before I jump in, make sure to check out my other videos, give me a subscribe to continue to see motorcycle content like this, and hit me up on Instagram and TikTok to stay up to date with what the Rice Rocketeer is doing in these city streets. So, first up is getting your motorcycle stolen. It's a lot, guys. It doesn't really hit until the third day. Initially, when it happened, I was kind of like, it's whatever, man. It's going to be what it's going to be. And then you kind of think about it, you marinate on it, and you start to get angry about it. So it didn't really hit until day 2 or 3. And then I was upset, and then I was sad. So I guess it's like the 5 stages of grief or whatever. So it built, but when it initially happened, in the moment, I really didn't know what to do. And I just thought I should probably share my experience so that you kind of understand what's coming if this ever, God forbid, happens to you out there. So the first thing I did was call the police. I wanted to get the ball rolling, and I wanted to make sure everything was documented. And it seemed as if I approached this from a timely manner, which I did, because I think, you know, if I'm thinking from the perspective of an insurance agent or anybody really, if I waited a day, it'd be like, why did you wait? So I just jumped straight on it, called the police. When they arrived, they of course had questions about what happened, you know, what time it happened, who was around, when was the last time I saw the bike, all the preliminary basic questions. But then they asked me about the bike itself. They asked about the make, the model, the year, the color, how many locks I had on it, where I parked it, do I always park there? So it's important to have that documentation. That's one thing I learned first and foremost about this experience, is having your proof of insurance, having your bill of sales, having your VIN number. Those things are very important to have on you. Now, not necessarily the documents themselves, but having access to that information is very important. So some people use their photo album to keep photos of these documents. I put them on a cloud just so I can access it from wherever I am. Make sure to always have access to that. It'll make it so much smoother to go through this whole process. I can't imagine having to call somebody who's at home to try to find my registration and take a photo and send it to me. It's just, you don't want to do that in the moment. So, yes, have your documentation ready for when the cops come. The cops will then take the report. They'll ask for specifics as to time frame and to where it happened, and then they're going to ask you some kind of loose questions of, do you know who could have done this? Has anybody been watching you lately? Et cetera, things that could help them. I guess you could call them leads. Help them find leads. Before they submit the report, it is very important that you ask to see that report. That is not because you don't trust them. It is because not everybody rides motorcycles, and there could just be an easy miscommunication where you say it's a 2022 Yamaha MT-07 and they put down 2020 Yamaha MT-07. That's going to be a problem come insurance time. So you want to double check that every fact is correct. The details of the event are correct as well. If you say it happened on the 3rd and they mistakenly write the 4th, or you say 10 a.m., they say 10 p.m., all of those things will likely trip you up down the road when you're trying to file your claim with your insurance agent. So it is important to make sure that this foundational step of making a report is absolutely correct. And then, when the cops are about to leave, it is important to get their precinct. Their names and or badge number is very helpful to just streamline the process. Again, when you talk to insurance, you can give them this information, and if insurance needs anything else, they can contact them themselves. So make sure to get that information before the cops drive off. Once the cops drive off, the next thing you want to do is file that insurance claim. You can do it via app, you can do it via the website, you can do it via phone or email. There's many ways you can do it, but do it immediately. File that claim, because the claim itself for a total loss will take at least a week. Some drag it out. I've had relatively good experiences with both my Indian that I had to count as a total loss, and this bike, the MT-07, which was stolen. So I've had good experience and good turnaround time, but anything you can do to kind of streamline it is going to help you out a lot. So call insurance. They're going to ask you the exact same questions as the cops did: when it happened, what happened, the make and model of the bike, etc. Fill all that out, submit it. A day or two later, an agent will call you to confirm that this is actually a claim and that it's, needs to be processed and you would like to proceed. Once you do that, that agent will assign your case to another agent in the specific department of the total loss claims department. That person will reach out to you and they will do a much more thorough, in-depth interview. They're going to call you and they're going to ask you for all these facts again. So you're telling your story 3 or 4 times. It is very important that every time you tell the story, it lines up. This is not a police interrogation, but depending on who you get, they may or may not be frustrated that you're stumbling over your words. So my advice to you all out there is to, when you are initially telling your story to the cops, make sure to jot down some notes. And that's not because you're lying, it's just to make sure that with all that's going on, you don't forget or misspeak or, mix up dates. The story needs to be consistent and it needs to be confident for this whole process to go smoothly. So make sure you have those facts down, and when you are talking to the person who is making the assessment and the valuation, you're giving them as clear of a story as you can. That will help you, help them, help you. Once that total claims department agent takes your story, they will wait 7 to 10 days. That is the regulation 7 to 10 day period in which they wait to make sure that your bike doesn't turn up, that you don't find it, someone doesn't turn it in, etc. After which point they will then push your claim through. Before they do that, they'll give you an estimate of what your bike is worth. It's non-negotiable, of course, and it is based on not the blue book value of your bike, but it is based on the average price of that bike in your area. So I don't know the market like that, but the demand for different bikes goes up and down depending on the season, depending on the year, depending on trends. So don't be surprised to see some variation in what your bike is worth and what you will be paid. Sometimes it'll work in your favor and they'll pay you more than the bike was worth when you bought it. Other times, not so much. For me, my Yamaha MT-07 is a 2022 Tiffany blue and gray Yamaha MT-07. I paid $8,888 for it. It was valued at $8,100 and something. I've had the bike for 3 months and it dropped a couple $100. I'm not gonna put up a fight for it, it's just what it is, that's how it happened. So I was paid out for not the full amount of what I paid, but for pretty damn close, which I consider a win. Unfortunately, I took a lien out, so there's a lien on the bike. I took a loan out for $10,000. That $10,000, as you all probably are familiar with, includes dealership fees, it includes taxes, title and registration, all of these things that you are then stuck with. So the insurance company paid me out for the $8,000, and then the remaining $2,000 that I still owe is on me. Now that is considered GAP, and in certain states you can opt in for GAP insurance. As far as I understand it, New York State does not offer that. No insurance agent offers GAP insurance for motorcycles. That's what I was told. I don't know if it's true, but regardless, I did not opt in for it. I don't have it. So I am now stuck with the $2,000 on the bike that I no longer own. Just how it goes. If all this happens and you're financing your bike and that extra $2,000 you don't want to pay off right away and you're considering buying a new bike, depending on your situation and depending on what bank you're using, depending on what dealership you go to next, they may be able to take that money and throw it onto the next loan if you want to live your life that way. You could also pay it down, just pay the $2,000 and take it as a loss and then move on. But that is an option right there, is if you're going to go buy another motorcycle right away, like I did, you can take that extra money and tack it on to your next loan so you don't have to pay out of pocket the whatever amount it is right then and there. Yeah, up to your discretion. I prefer to just pay it down and get started again, but it's up to you. So that will pretty much conclude your claim report, but it needs to go in that order: police, insurance. Have your documentation ready, and make sure to document your story and your facts, because it's important that those stay consistent. So those are the two big takeaways that I learned this time around is get organized, document everything to make the process really smooth. Because my process took about 2 weeks, and that's not all that long considering. So, and now the fun part of buying a new bike. I was in this really cool position where, well, not cool. It was bad. It was good and bad. My bike that I love got stolen, but now I have the opportunity to try something else. And for someone like me, it's very exciting. I want to try as many motorcycles as I can. I went to the dealership. I shopped around a little bit, and I found a really in good condition, 5,000 miles on it. Triumph Street Triple R from 2020. It's the low version as well, so I can finally flat foot my bike, which is awesome. I posted a video last week of my first impressions of the bike. So that was literally my first, I think it was 30 miles I did that day. First 30 miles on that bike, and just the immediate thoughts that I had, thoughts and reactions. It's amazing. Completely different ride than anything I've ridden before. Very smooth, very polished too. Even if I paid full price for that bike, which I believe is $11,200, something like that, so 14 out the door, the amount of quality you get and the kind of the premium feel, the premium fit and finish on that motorcycle for that price seems disproportionate. It's great. I'm having a ball with it. I'm going to do a few other videos moving forward of different rides, try to take this bike out to the twisties, because I think it would be amazing up there and really fun. And I think the whole thing would really come together on the highway and on the back roads. A little tough on the city streets because it is a lot of power, and the way the bike is geared, it's a triple, so it revs fairly high, 12, 13,000 you can hit. In downtown Manhattan, it's not difficult, but it takes some real attention, and it takes riding with intent. There is no room for just cruising and having fun with it in the low range. It's work. But I'll get used to it, and I'll feel it out. I'm loving the bike every minute. Which brings me to, when considering to buy a new bike right after you get a motorcycle stolen, these are more kind of words to the wise. These are things that I learned, and things that kind of how I changed my mindset in buying bikes. This was a real wake-up call to me that I can no longer street park. And also to consider what bike I'm getting for my environment. So my first bike was a single, that was an intro bike, BMW G310R, super quick and easy. I had that for like 4 months and then moved on to the Indian FTR. The Indian FTR, I just thought, I was kind of shopping with my eyes, and it was a beautiful bike, looked really cool and badass, so I bought it, but it was more bike than I needed for what I was using it for, which was commuting to and from the city on the daily, maybe 4 miles tops, and it's a lot for that. That's a very powerful bike. Function-wise, it really wasn't what I needed. It was fun and pretty, not what I needed. So after that bike got destroyed, I decided to get something more functional to fit my lifestyle. So I got a Yamaha MT-07, and then that bike got stolen. So the mistake I made there was that, yes, the bike was more functional for my lifestyle, but because it is the type of bike it is, it's a Japanese bike, it's a sports bike, it's a bike that a lot of people have, it's in high demand, and the parts are easily transferable and usable by other people. You make more money parting that thing out than you do selling the bike. So it has a red target on it for that reason, and I just didn't consider that. And now I was in this mindset, right, finding a bike after the MT-07 of what is going to be fun and be able to keep me entertained and active, but won't get stolen. That, is less likely to get stolen. So I settled on a Triumph because it's not as easily parted out. Now you could argue that. Any bike can be parted out, but it's certainly not a Japanese bike that is high demand. It is still a sports bike, but it's less desirable to people out there just because, even though it's a nice bike, it's a bike you would steal to ride, not to make money off of. And the people out here running around stealing most things are stealing things to get money. They're not stealing them to joyride. So that was kind of one of the major reasons I decided to go in that direction. I also, wanted something different. I wanted to, if I'm going to be in this predicament and have this path in front of me, this choose your own adventure path, so to speak, of what bike I'm going to get, I want to get something that's different and that's going to give me some kind of different experience, rather than buying the same bike or a similar bike that's geared the same way. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why not try something different? So, you know, keep your head up. If you get your motorcycle stolen, keep your head up, because it is a pain to deal with all this stuff, and you do feel robbed. You feel like, you know, someone took your property, so it doesn't feel good. But there's a light at the end of that tunnel, and if you are serious about motorcycle riding, you will not let that stop you. People are going to steal. People, especially in New York, it's just kind of it's an unfortunate part of the game. I really wished I lived somewhere that wasn't the case. But until that point, I've gotten a garage. I found a place that's in Brooklyn, so it's a bit of a pain because I got to go out of the way, but it has security gate, check-in process, security guard, all of that, and it's a whole extra fee, but I can sleep at night knowing that, well, knock wood, likely my bike is not going to get stolen again. So that's all I got for this video, guys. I hope this was helpful to some of you out there to just get you oriented and prepared for what to do in the worst case scenario. Thanks for checking in, and again, make sure to check out my channel, check out my videos, give me a subscribe if you like the content that I'm producing, and reach out to me on Instagram and TikTok. I'd love to hear your opinions about what I should post next, ideas for videos, or if you want to connect and go for a ride, that would be a lot of fun. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.